Hello everyone, today I'm going to be going for the Platinum in Ghost of Tsushima. Recently I have gotten the Platinum in Spider-Man 2 and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, both of which were fairly simple games and pretty short, so I wanted to jump back into a massive open world game, and Ghost of Tsushima was the perfect choice. With 52 trophies in the base game, including the Platinum, and the PSN Profiles Guide giving it a 3 out of 10 difficulty and around about 40 hours to complete, I was ready to jump into this amazing game and experience what it means to be a true samurai and to become the Ghost of Tsushima. To start things off, I selected the medium difficulty because I was too scared of doing anything higher.
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
Anyway, heading straight into the story, we are introduced to our setting, which is of course Tsushima Island of Japan, and we are introduced to our main playable character Jin Sakai and also his uncle Lord Shimura. Along with 80 other samurai, we are tasked to defend the shores of Tsushima from the Mongol invasion. Things get off to quite a bad start as their main leader, Khotun Khan, throws fire on this samurai and cuts his head off. Great start. So we head into battle on the beach ourselves, and things do not go to plan. Lord Shimura is captured, and we are left for dead on the beach. Of course, the game can't just end there, as we awake to find that we have been nursed back to health by someone. Exploring the village, I managed to find some broken samurai armor to put on, and I was also introduced to Yuna, the woman that saved us from the beach. With her help, I of course managed to find my katana. From there, we get a quick flashback, which acts as a tutorial to the combat as Jin learns from Lord Shimura. Back in present day, I managed to kill my first Mongol of many. And from there, we head to the stables where I get my trusty companion, Nobu the horse. And from there, Jin and Yuna make their way to Castle Kaneda, where Lord Shimura is being held, and we get our first trophy of the game, Gathering Storm, for recovering the katana of Clan Sakai. From there, as Jin, we head to the castle and confront the Khan. And so I got my first boss fight slash duel of the game against Khotun Khan. Of course, with games like this, we're not actually going to be able to beat the main villain straight away. What do you expect? So, of course, it's a non-winnable fight, and we get thrown off the bridge to our death. We then get a quick little flashback explaining what happened to Jin's parents as he watched his father die right in front of him and did nothing about it. At his father's funeral, it is explained why him and Lord Shimura are so close, as Lord Shimura essentially became his father figure. Back to present day, it is revealed that we somehow managed to survive that fall. So this is the second time in one day that Jin has somehow survived nearly dying. And from here, we are truly introduced to the open world as we are given the direction to follow the wind, as in this game, they're very clever. Instead of just having markers on the map to follow, you actually follow the environment around you, including the wind. The wind takes us back to meet up with Yuna, where we devise the plan to save Yuna's brother and then also get the help from Sensei Ishikawa and Lady Masako, as they are trained warriors, in order to rescue Lord Shimura from the castle. And so from there, I was introduced to the map where, as you can see, you've got the main story tales in yellow, and then there's also question marks where you can explore and find things around the map too. And I also got introduced to the gear section where you can equip Jin with different armors and different customization features. Then moving on with the story, with Yuna we infiltrate a prison camp in order to try and find more information on where her brother is being held, and we unlock the ability to assassinate enemies. However, this is against the samurai code, but in order to stop the Mongol invasion, we do what we must. Shortly after that, I also found my first record and artifact, and these are some of the collectibles in the game. Most of the time you find them in these Mongol camps like this, and luckily you do not have to find all 40, you only have to find 20 of each. But we'll get to that later up in the cleanup. And from there, we complete the mission, find out where Yuna's brother Taka is being held, and we get the trophy Point of No Return for breaking your code to help a new friend. And by completing that mission, I got my first skill point to unlock a new technique. Moving on with the story, I met up with Sensei Ishikawa and helped him try and track down one of his previous students, who turned out she has gone to the Mongols' side. But for the meantime, he said he's going to help us try and save Lord Shimura, and also this unlocks 9 side missions to do with Sensei Ishikawa that we have to complete in order to get a trophy, but that will come later on. This mission also unlocked me the ability to use the bow. And also by completing that mission, I was introduced to the legend system, which you get points for completing each different kind of tale, and you want to try and get to the maxed level, which will unlock a trophy, but of course that will come later on. After that, I then found my first side activity on the island, which is the bamboo strike. This requires you to click buttons in a certain order, and when you do, you unlock some extra resolve for Jin, which allows you to heal and use special abilities. Just after that, I killed my 3rd Mongol leader, which unlocked me the water stance. So there are 4 stances in this game, and you unlock them by killing a certain amount of leaders, and there's a trophy related to unlocking all 4. I then uncovered my next side activity, which is the Pillar of Honor, where I got lost and found for discovering one and collecting its sword kit. So essentially these just give you different appearances for your sword kit. I then found my next side activity, which are the hot springs, where Jin decides to get butt naked, and you get some health for sitting in one of these. I then found my next side activity, which are these fox dens. All you have to do is follow the fox and they'll take you to an Inari shrine, where you bow to it and you will unlock a charm. Next up in the story, I met up with Lady Masako and found out that her whole family had been murdered while her husband was on the beach fighting for the samurai. He was the one that got his head cut off. So she's pretty much lost everyone, and now we have to uncover her family's killers. So we find a list of names, and just like the Sensei Ishikawa, it unlocks 9 tales to help her, which will be a trophy later on, but for now she's going to help us save Lord Shimura. I then found another side activity by scaling this mountain and finding my first Shinto shrine, and these unlock major charms that help quite a lot. And pretty much all these shrines are found by doing some parkour up a cliff or whatever. Just by doing some more exploration, I got my next trophy open for business for successfully staggering enemies 50 times, which is essentially by using your heavy attack. Again, another side activity. Yes, there's quite a lot in this game. It is an open world game, but this is for reigniting a lighthouse. So you pretty much scale up the lighthouse and just set the brazier alight. Next up, I then went and met up with Yuna, where we were able to save her brother Taka from the prison camp. And by doing this, I got the trophy Stoking the Flame for rescuing Taka from Mongol captivity. After that, I then liberated my first enemy camp, and there is a trophy related to liberating the entirety of Tsushima Island. And just following that, I also liberated this town, Azamo Bay. So pretty much there's the small camps like the one I took out before, and then there's also bigger towns as well that you have to liberate from enemies. By liberating the town, I also had my first proper duel, not counting the Kulton Khan one from before, but there is a trophy related to completing every duel in the game. Following that, I found another collectible, the Singing Crickets. Collect enough of these and you will unlock a new song to play on your flute. Next up is another combat trophy, and this one was for perfect parrying an enemy and counter-attacking. I had to do this 20 times and got the trophy Flash of Steel. Next up in the story, I met with an old friend, Ryuzo, who turns out he is now the leader of the Straw Hat Ronins, which are pretty much mercenaries for hire, and we need his help in order to save Lord Shimura, but in return we have to try and get some food for him and his men as they are starving. And so by helping him out, I got the trophy Company of Wolves for recruiting the Straw Hat Ronin. I then found my first haiku, which is pretty much where you reflect on an emotion or feeling and write a poem about it. And by completing all of these, all the Inari shrines, bamboo strikes, and hot springs, we will get a trophy. So we'll do that later on in the cleanup. From there, I found my first mythic tale. And these tales follow someone telling you about a legend of the island, and then you always get like some really cool ability out of it, whether it be armor or a combat technique. And whilst tackling this mythic tale, I actually got the trophy for terrifying an enemy and then shooting them in the back with an arrow while they are fleeing, unlocking witness protection. Continuing on with the mythic tale, I eventually came to a duel with this guy here. And by dueling him, I unlock the ability to unleash the Heavenly Strike, which is a awesome ability, as you can see. So it is definitely worth doing all these mythic tales, and you also get a trophy out of it. I forgot to mention before, but Taka is also a really good blacksmith, so he ends up crafting us an iron hook, which allows us the ability to pretty much be like Spider-Man. We get to swing across trees or climb up mountains using this thing, which really elevates the parkour in this game. I then found another collectible, which is the Sashimono banners, but luckily these aren't actually necessary for any trophy, so don't have to worry about collecting 80 of these. I then completed my second mythic tale, unlocking me the explosive arrows. Moving on with the story, I gather up all my allies and we are ready to take on Castle Kaneda in order to save Lord Shimura. Once inside though, it is revealed that Ryuzo has betrayed us and has actually joined the Mongol side, so we get to have a duel with him. We end up wounding him pretty bad, but not killing him as he runs away. And from there we go to the main keep in order to save Lord Shimura. And by doing this, I got the trophy Family Reunion for freeing Lord Shimura from the Khan's clutches. It is then revealed that Ryuzo and the Khan have headed north in order to take over Castle Shimura now. And so of course we have to head north in order to take them on as well, so we devise another plan. This time we have to get the people of Yarikawa to help us, we also have to get our father's armor from our old home, and we also have to deploy the help of a pirate who can go to the mainland in order to get the backup of more samurai from the shogun. Here I also get introduced to Norio, who is going to be another new ally for us, and he, just like Sensei Ishikawa and Lady Masako, has 9 tales for us to complete, which will unlock us a trophy later on. Before continuing up north though, I got another trophy gifted for collecting 10 gifts, and this is simply by going to a gift altar in certain towns and collecting the gifts. Another easy trophy I got was for liberating this village. I got Hero of the People for liberating 12 occupied areas in Izuhara, the first area of the game. I then got another easy trophy, Slay, for acquiring 30 pieces of vanity gear. This is very easy as you can get gear in lots of different ways, so you'll most likely get 30 by the time you're done. I then found enough Inari shrines to unlock my 6th and final charm slot, and for equipping a charm here, I unlocked my next trophy, a Charming Man, for equipping a charm in all 6 slots. I finally went to the new area which came up with Act 2, Retake Castle Shimura, and it also showed me in Izuhara where there's lots of liberations I can do next. And so by going back to those areas to liberate them, I killed my final leader, which unlocked me the trophy Quick Study for learning the Stone, Water, Wind, and Moon combat stances. And essentially these are just good against different types of enemies. For example, the final one I unlocked, the Moon stance, is good against the big heavy brutes. In the new area, as I was exploring, I found another new side activity, which are these duels against the Straw Hats. And they are related to completing a mythic tale as well, but there's 5 of these, and these also count towards completing every duel in the game as well. Now this next trophy is very weird, Den of Thieves, which is for discovering Mugi Cove, as technically it is related to the story, as you have to go here to speak to the pirate who can send a message to the mainland. But yeah, you get the trophy like before even starting the quest, really, just for arriving at the area. I failed to mention before, but Yuna also has her own set of side quests. However, she doesn't have 9, she only has 4, and these relate to helping her kill all these slavers in the area, as she was once a slave when she was younger. And so I have this boss fight against Ultan here, and for killing him, I unlocked the trophy for completing all 4 of Yuna's side quests. Continuing on with the main story, we help the pirate escape via ship to go to the mainland in order to get the Shogun to send us reinforcements. I then went on to complete my 3rd mythic tale, which unlocked me the Dance of Wrath, and this ability is very, very good. Was very, very helpful later on as well in lots of the boss fights and combat in general. Whilst doing the next main story quest, I managed to get another combat related trophy, which is for kicking an enemy off a ledge and causing them to die by fall damage, getting Have a Nice Fall. Continuing on with this main story quest, this was to try and get the people of Yarikawa to form an army and help us in taking out the Khan, but in order to do this we had to help them and protect them from the Mongols that were trying to take over the village. And whilst doing this quest, I unlocked the very new ability of the Ghost stance. And so this ability is very overpowered. Just like in lots of the other PlayStation games, it's like a fury mode, and you're pretty much invincible and you can kill 3 enemies without dying in one hit. But when it's first introduced here, you just go on a massive rampage and literally kill everyone. It's very fun. And by completing this mission, I got the trophy Leader of the People for rallying the peasants of Yarikawa. I then completed my 4th mythic tale, which unlocked me this really cool armor called the Gosaku armor. I also discovered the Black Dye Merchant, which pretty much just let you buy different variations for your outfits that are mainly black. And there is a trophy related to purchasing a dye from the Black Dye Merchant and also the White Dye Merchant, but I hadn't found the white one yet, and that will come later on. So then the next trophy I got was for killing 20 enemies using the Ghost stance, which unlocked me Haunting Precision. And literally just following that trophy, I got another trophy, Good Riddance, for liberating 8 occupied areas in Toyotama, which is the second area of the map. Next up in the story, I headed home and claimed the Sakai clan armor, which belonged to Jin's father. And I also unlocked the blowgun, which allows me to shoot poisoned darts, which kill enemies pretty violently, and then that scares off other enemies as well. And by completing this quest, I got Birthright for recovering my father's armor. I then completed my 5th mythic tale, which unlocked me the Kenshi armor. Now moving on with the story, next thing up we had to take out Ryuzo, who had been found in a nearby fortress. Before leaving to go do that though, Yuna tells us that her and Tucker are leaving to head to the mainland, which Jin finds very sad to hear, but he allows them to do that. But before we storm the fortress to take out Ryuzo, Tucker shows up saying that he wants to help Jin out before he leaves. Unfortunately, things go wrong as we are ambushed and both Tucker and Jin are captured. The Khan shows up interrogating both of us, demanding that Jin surrenders to him, and he doesn't, so he kills Tucker right in front of us, and this guy really must like beheading people because he's done it twice now. Yuna ends up showing up looking for Tucker, and of course she ends up finding about the terrible news. So of course we got to kill everyone in this fortress to get our revenge, and I got this funny glitch where I went flying super high into the air. No idea how it happened, but I turned into Superman. Yuna and Jin both then take his body and bury him on the edge of a cliff to say their final goodbyes. By doing this mission, I got the trophy Dying Embers for eradicating the traitors in the name of a fallen friend. And so after that, it was time to try and take back Castle Shimura and claim it for ourselves. Unfortunately, Khotun Khan has set a trap and blows up the bridge that leads to the main stronghold, killing some of our soldiers too. Lord Shimura insists on rebuilding the bridge, but Jin does not agree as they need to take them out as quick as possible, resulting in him getting a slap in the face.
Jin, no. We're finished.
So, Yuna gives us our new ghost armor and we take matters into our own hands by sneaking under the bridge into the main stronghold in order to poison all the Mongols, which is obviously not the way of the samurai. We also have another duel against Ryuzo. This time we actually defeat him and Jin decides to put him out of his misery. Lord Shimura arrives and is not pleased by the poison that killed the Mongols and tries to blame it on Yuna for manipulating Jin, but Jin takes full responsibility of his actions and he is taken prisoner by Lord Shimura. And for completing that mission, I got the trophy The Ghost for embracing your new identity. After being held in captivity for a few days, Kenji, a psycho dealer who helped us get Taka out at the beginning of the game, he comes to save us and break us out of prison by distracting the guards. And so we sneak our way to the stables, get on Nobu and make our escape. Unfortunately, Nobu is shot with a couple of arrows, resulting in Nobu collapsing a couple of kilometers away. And unfortunately, Nobu dies. And now we are into the final act of the game, which is to kill the Khan. After laying Nobu to rest, we head to a nearby village where we were going to meet Yuna. Turns out it has been burnt and pillaged by some of the Mongols, and Yuna is nowhere to be seen, but she has left a message for us to follow. Unfortunately, as I'm making my escape, the Mongols shoot me with a poison dart, and they are now using my own poison against me. Jin collapses, but luckily we hear Yuna in the distance, and we wake up saved once again by Yuna. From there we head to a nearby temple and take it from the Mongols to use as our now main base of operations. And from that I actually unlocked a couple more skill points which I was able to put into my ghost weapons, unlocking my final one, the firecracker, which granted me the trophy Every Trick in the Book for acquiring all throwable ghost weapon techniques. From there I completed my 6th mythic tale, which unlocked me the ability to put fire onto my katana, which is a very nice ability. Continuing on with the main story, I had to liberate a nearby fortress from the Mongols, which allowed safe passage around the mountains instead of through Castle Shimura, which obviously we can't go through. And this allowed our allies such as Sensei Ishikawa and Lady Masako to come around to join us in the frozen north, unlocking me this trophy. Now that all my allies were up in the north, I was able to complete off the rest of the side quests as it unlocked in Act 3, the final ones, and this one was for completing Lady Masako's 9 tails, and turns out her sister was the one that murdered her whole family because she was jealous of her. Fantastic. And so I unlocked the trophy The Vengeful Warrior for completing all her tales. Next ally up was Norio, and we had to help him track down his brother's killer and allow him to kill him. And so I got the trophy The Warrior Monk. And the final ally was Sensei Ishikawa. We ended up tracking down Tomoe, and she was actually betrayed by the Mongols, so she helped us defeat them, and then she snuck away on a boat to the mainland. But I still got the trophy The Unbending Archer for completing all his tales. From there, Yuna and Jin head to a nearby town to scout out where the Khan is staying in order to plan their attack. Yuna then gifts us a new horse, and I decide to call him Kage. And Jin heads back to Castle Shimura to sneak inside and leave a note behind in Lord Shimura's main room, asking for reinforcements for when they attack the Khan. So when the storm hits, we attack the Khan's base. Jin fights his way inside to scout out where the Khan may be staying. He sees him off in the distance, and then also sees that Lord Shimura has decided to attack at the same time to help out. And so we head over to where Kultan Khan is, and we get another boss fight against him. This time, we are actually able to win. But just before he is defeated and killed, he runs away to let his lackeys do the work for him. But Jin ain't letting him get away that easy, so we follow him back to his boat and take on all of his men, and also defeat him as well.
You will be forgotten.
From there, with all our allies and Yuna, we head back to our temple. And I receive the trophy Sovereign End for confronting the Khan, and also the trophy Mass Eviction for liberating 7 occupied areas in Kamiyagata, which is the final area of the map. But the game ain't done there yet, as we got to meet back up with Lord Shimura and have one final confrontation with him, as he has been tasked by the Shogun to bring him the ghost's head, and obviously Jin must defend himself. We also get this amazing quote here.
You have no honor, and you are a slave to it.
After that emotional scene and all its build up, we head into the greatest duel of the game and the final boss fight where we take on our uncle, Lord Shimura. Of course, we defeat him as we are the ghost after all, and we get two choices: either to kill him to honor his wish for a warrior's death, or to spare him, let him live, and walk away. I decided to choose the latter.
I have no honor. But I will not kill my family.
And so Jin puts the ghost mask on and embraces his new identity as the Ghost of Tsushima. And I of course got the trophy Mono no Aware for leaving the past behind and accepting the burden of your new mantle, aka completing the main story. And so now we are into the cleanup phase, and as you can see, once you get into the end game, the epilogue, it tells you where the rest of the camps are that you need to liberate. So that was the first thing on the agenda, to liberate each area. But whilst exploring, I actually got another trophy for killing the maximum amount of enemies during a standoff, which is 5. And in order to do this, you have to get the 2 upgrades that increase your standoff streak to 3, and then also equip the Sakai clan armor once you've upgraded that fully, which adds on another 2 enemies to the streak, resulting in 5 enemies in a single standoff. I also completed my 7th and final mythic tail, which unlocked me the Tadayori's armor, which is very helpful if you like using the bow. And so for doing that, I got the trophy Teller of Tales for completing all mythic tails. Next up, I was liberating a random camp and I got the trophy The Ghost of Legend for building my legend all the way to the Ghost of Tsushima. And you will definitely get this if you've completed most of the tales and liberations. I then went on to liberate this dojo where I absolutely clapped this Mongol in a duel like instantly and got the trophy There Can Be Only One for successfully completing every duel in the game. And I also got the trophy A Fight for the Isle for liberating all occupied areas in Izuhara. I then actually finally found the white dye merchant and I bought something from him, and so I got the trophy for purchasing from both the black and white dye merchant. Also, whilst doing the cleanup, I had a look at the trophies, and one of them was for bowing at 10 hidden altars, and as you can see this sign here where it says to bow, you had to do that 10 times at different ones, and you know it works because something always happens. Like for example this one, some crabs appeared out of the sand. Before doing that, I went and got this trophy for liberating all occupied areas in Toyotama, the second area. Doing all these liberations, I got enough materials to get this trophy for fully upgrading my sword. So from there I went on to liberate the final area in Kamiyagata, which also unlocked me the trophy Master Liberator for fully liberating the entirety of Tsushima Island. Liberating all the areas is very helpful, as once you've done that, it reveals the entire map, showing you where each question mark is, allowing you to complete all these side activities very easily. So that's exactly what I did. I went to each question mark, and for example this one, I found and honored the rest of the Shinto shrines on Tsushima. I then went on to find my final lighthouse, unlocking the trophy Light the Way for rekindling all of the lighthouses. I then completed my final bamboo strike, then the last Inari shrine, then the final hot spring, and finally the last haiku. Unlocking the trophy Body, Mind, and Spirit for completing all hot springs, haiku, Inari shrines, and bamboo strikes. I then used PlayStation's built-in hints as a guide to find the rest of the hidden altars to bow at. In the end, receiving the trophy Honor the Unseen for bowing to 10 hidden altars across Tsushima. Next up, I used the hints for another trophy, which was for cosplaying as Sly Cooper, I believe, which I haven't played those games, maybe I will eventually. I had to equip a specific set of armor, and so I got the Cooper Clan cosplayer for dressing up as a legendary thief. I then headed back to Taka's grave where I got the trophy Dirge of the Fallen Forge, which is for playing the Lament of the Storm at his grave, and to unlock the Lament of the Storm you have to collect 5 of those singing crickets that I mentioned earlier. Next up, I equipped the Traveler's Attire, which allows you to track artifacts with the Guiding Wind, and so with that on I was able to find my final artifacts and records needed to get 20 of each. Avid reader, collect 20 records. Next trophy was to complete all the Tales of Tsushima, and I couldn't figure it out because most of the time you can just speak to people at nearby villages and they tell you where the next quest is. But this one I just couldn't find, so I had to search it up, and it turns out there's this secret quest where you have to go up to this specific house in the middle of nowhere to help these women escape from it, and that's the only way to find it. But once I had completed that tale, I got the trophy Helping Sword Hand for completing all Tales of Tsushima. To end it off, the last trophy, probably the easiest trophy in the game, which is just purely for using photo mode. I decided to come to the highest peak in the game to get a good view of the landscape and potentially take a good photo, but in the end, as soon as I went into photo mode and just changed one little setting, the trophy automatically popped, obviously personalizing a scene in photo mode, and you know what that means. I also got the Platinum Living Legend for obtaining all trophies in Ghost of Tsushima. And also, on top of that, this is the first time I've actually seen this in a game that I've platinumed. I actually got a in-game reward for getting the platinum, which was this cool dye I could put on my ghost armor, which was Ghost Transcendent, and that you get that for getting the platinum. And I also tried to use photo mode to try and get a good thumbnail for this video, but in the end I just ended up using this photo I got instead of Jin being a very happy person for finally obtaining the platinum. So I'm going to keep this nice and brief. All in all, I recommend you play Ghost of Tsushima. Honestly, I'd probably have to give the platinum a 10 out of 10. This has got to be one of the best games I've played and platinumed so far. The journey was very easy. It just kind of happened naturally for the platinum, and it actually enhanced the experience of the game, which is what you always want in a platinum trophy. So if you haven't already, I would highly recommend you play Ghost of Tsushima. Now, if you want to see me go for the 100% in this game, try and get this video to 100 likes and I will do that for you, and that will include the Iki Island DLC, the New Game Plus, and also the multiplayer trophies in the Legends mode. So make sure you guys are liking the video, subscribing to the channel and hitting those post notification bell icon, and I will get that out for you guys as soon as possible. Make sure to leave a comment down below what other games you might want to see me platinum, and if you have platinum Ghost of Tsushima yourself and what you thought of it. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.